Hello, and here's a tutorial on how to create USTs for the Yiddish CVVC format. I'm going to show how you can write out phonemes to be used by Yiddish voice banks. For example, here's the word leaked. So because it starts with an L, you want to do an L, one, then an I. Remember that there are no spaces between the consonants. The consonant is L1, and the vowel is the capital I. There are no spaces between them. So you can hear le. Then what you want to do is you want to do a VC sound. So you have the capital I, and then you blend it into the consonant, which is the K. So you want to do a space between the vowel and consonant for VC sounds, which are either transitional or you can use them in end words. Finally, we have to add a CC transition. You can do a K and a T or a K and a D. And the KT and the KD sounds are actually the same in the alto. They're just there for consistency, even though they sound the same, because they're plosives, so you're not going to put the actual consonant in there, just to make everything easier for recording. Now we're going to do the word gate. So you want to do a lowercase g, then E, then an I. Make sure not to separate the consonant and vowel with a space. Then what you want to do is you want to have an E, an I, space for the VC, and then a K. So because this is a normal word, you won't need any CCs or even closing consonants. You just need the CV and the VC sound. Next, let's choose a word with multiple syllables. Let's take the word million, for example. We do an M and a capital I, and we do an I and then an uppercase L separated by a space. And in Kari's voice bank, there is no CC for the capital L and the J, which is used to represent a Y. So I just go straight into the CV sound, which is a lowercase j and an O. Then finally I ended off with a VC sound with an O, a space, and then an N. So I think it's pretty good. And you can always add consonant cluster sounds to your voice bank, but in this case, since it's not needed at the end or beginning of a word, I didn't personally find it necessary. Now let's go on to words which have multiple consonants in the beginning. The zo and the tso sounds and other similar sounds, you want to have the two consonants. As in a pronunciation guide, there's a D, a Z, and then an O. So you don't need to separate them with CC and CV sounds. Even though you can separate them if you want to lengthen a consonant sound, it will not sound as natural. So oftentimes I find it's best just to write it out like zo or tso. Say you're doing a word that starts with a vowel. This is not an actual word, but I'm just going to do ang, for example. So an E, then an I. You want to have a dash, then a space, and then the vowel. In this case, the vowel is the diphthong E, and then a capital I. And then what you want to do is an E, an I, and then an ang for a VC sound. Of course, the vowel and consonant separated by space. Lastly, if you want to end it with vowel, you can do a CV sound, like, for example, they. But notice there's no vowel end, so it kind of ends abruptly and not naturally. Although this is fine to do if you want, I recommend adding a vowel such as an E and then an I, which is a CV sound here. Then you want to do a space and a dash, so it will sound more natural because it'll have a natural end. Alternatively, as a stylistic choice, you can use a X or an H as a breathier end, but I just find that the space and dash works best. This is basically how to use phonemes for creating USTs, and this will work fine if you're just making a MIDI and then typing lyrics in. If you find MIDIing to make USTs tedious and you only want to type lyrics in when making a UST, I recommend following the description in the tutorial and checking out May Blythe's tutorials for a software called Pratt and downloading Hitality's scripts from the description. I find them quite useful for creating USTs. I hope you have a great day, and I hope this tutorial has helped you use Yiddish voice banks. Tell me if you have any questions or concerns in the comments below.